Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the Baker Act, and I want to really clarify as best I can for you the whole idea of the 72-hour hold. So a couple things. Number one, there's two types of Baker Act here in Florida. The involuntary detention, which is what you associate with the 72-hour hold, and the voluntary detention. And I'm not going to go into how somebody could be voluntary, but needless to say, here in Florida, you can be Baker Acted on a voluntary basis and the hold's indefinite. No court order, no lawyer, no judge, none of that stuff. But in this case, I want to talk about the 72-hour hold because just recently we've been getting a lot of calls, I'm not sure why, where people seem to think that just because their loved one has been held 72 hours that they're going to be getting out. And the simple answer to that is not necessarily. The 72-hour hold is not a maximum, it's the minimum. It's not the end of the case. It's just the beginning. I mean, the facility's just getting warmed up here. Now, does that mean that your loved one would not get released after 72 hours? No, some people do. In which case, obviously, if you're going to get released, great. I think that's a beautiful thing. But we see a lot of cases where the person has been held 72 hours and the clock is ticking and it's ticking and it's ticking and they haven't been released. Well, how can that be? Well, first of all, it's, as I said, it's just the beginning of the case. And if the facility decides to file to keep your loved one, which they might do, well, maybe they have a good case, maybe you have health insurance, maybe a bit of both. Once they file, the court has to conduct a hearing within 5 days, a placement hearing. So that potentially, even if they don't intend to proceed with the hearing, that potentially buys them 5 days. And I've seen cases where they filed just so they could get their 5 days, and then on the morning of the hearing, they withdraw the petition. Right? How crazy is that? They had no intention of moving forward, but they wanted the extra 5 days, presumably to bang the insurance for a few more dollars or whatever it happens to be. So just because your loved one has been there 72 hours doesn't mean they're going to get released. The other thing is if the end of the 72 hours falls on a Saturday or a Sunday or a holiday, those days, frankly, don't even count. I mean, they count towards the 72 hours, but because the end of the 72 hours fell on a Saturday, Sunday, or a holiday, it rolls over either Monday if there's no holiday or Tuesday if there is a holiday. So again, it buys them more time. They don't have to discharge on the weekend or on a holiday. Now, do we get people out on the weekends, on the holidays? Yeah, all the time. And I think that really just boils down to the fact that facilities simply don't want to deal with the aggravation that we typically tend to bring. They also know that we'll fight. And we'll fight hard. And everybody in the office, all the lawyers, are trial lawyers. And they're very experienced in handling these cases. And they don't want to deal with us. They used to, but after winning a bunch of these cases, they got tired of it. And they don't want to have to explain themselves to a judge. So, they'll let this patient go. They'll keep the other 50 or however many they have there. But I really want to emphasize this to you. Don't think because you're in the 72-hour window that you don't need a lawyer or you don't need to fight. I think actually, contrary to popular belief, that's the best time to fight. Right now, right when we're inside the window, because once the facility decides to file, and by the way, I don't have any way of knowing that beforehand until I'm in the case because it's confidential. Once they file, okay, all bets are off. We're in the 5-day window, and then we're going to a placement hearing, which in theory could lead to your loved one being sent to a state hospital for up to 6 months. And it doesn't happen often, but it does happen. And we get those calls after the fact when somebody didn't bother to hire a lawyer and for whatever reason the case went south and now they're stuck in a state mental hospital. Those cases are very difficult to unwind and they're very challenging for us. Not that we won't help you, but they're difficult. So the best time to fight, even if the detention is legal, is within that 72-hour period. So I hope that clarifies things for you. You gotta fight, and you gotta fight hard to get your loved one out as soon as they are detained. Florida's mental health system is broken and draconian, and the people that work at it, they don't care. They really don't. For the most part, I'm sorry to say. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. I would love a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. If you have any comments, post them, or questions, post them. I try to get back to everybody that either asks a question or posts a comment. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.